Hey guys, welcome to this session by K21Academy. In this session, we are going to talk about Ansible. Now let us take a quick glance at the agenda. So we will start this session by understanding what is configuration management, as Ansible is the tool for configuration management, right? And then we will try to understand what is Ansible and its working. Post that, we will see what can Ansible do. And then we will see how to configure Ansible. And then finally, we will be going through the ad hoc commands in Ansible. We will be going through the complete module index. So let's hear from our expert trainer.
So in this lesson, we will be seeing about Ansible. So probably many would have heard about this Ansible tool, like it's a configuration management tool and it is mainly used for infrastructure as code and other things. So in our upcoming modules, we will generally see about this Ansible, and also we will be seeing Terraform. So these two are categorized under infrastructure as code and configuration management tool. So now let's jump into Ansible. So what is a configuration management? So before learning Ansible, what is a configuration management? As the name indicates, it is mainly used for configurations. So if you are an operations team and if you're actually managing a list of all the production servers and if you're actually managing all the configurations out of it, configurations in the sense like RAM, memory, CPU, and number of hard drives and number of LAN cables and other things. So these are all the different configurations out of it. So if it is on premises, then these will come into the picture. If it is going to be cloud, then number of public IPs, number of subnets, number of VPCs and other things, which is a virtual one, will be coming under the consideration of configurations. And how do you version control it? What is the use of version controlling of it? Because if I'm managing or if I'm creating a virtual machine, and later after 2 days, 3 days, I need to again create a same virtual machine with the same configuration and everything, I don't need to write the code again and again. I can just use the same code that I've written 2 days back and I can create a new virtual machine. Like that, I can create hundreds of virtual machines in a fraction of time. And if I don't want, I can even destroy the hundreds of virtual machines with the same code, so that it helps me to save my cost as well. That is the main use of this configuration management. Now, uh, let us learn one more thing called Chef, Puppet, and Ansible and SaltStack. So, what are these four? These four are actually nothing but, again, these are all configuration management tools, or you can even call that as an infrastructure as code tools. Basically, what is the main difference between Chef, Puppet, Ansible, and SaltStack? So, here is a table that actually tells you what is the main difference. So, on the scalability side, Chef, Puppet, Ansible, and SaltStack both are highly scalable. You can increase the number of servers, you can decrease the number of servers, anything is possible. And on setup purposes, Ansible is very easy because for Chef, Puppet, and SaltStack, you just need a master and agent. Whereas for Ansible, it is very easy for us. And for availability purposes, everything is highly available. And to write the code, actually, Chef uses a Ruby language, and Puppet actually uses Puppet DSL language. And for Ansible, it uses an YAML language, and for SaltStack, it again uses YAML. And for GitHub activities, you can see there are a number of contributors for this particular Chef and Puppet and Ansible and SaltStack. So if you see on this, actually Ansible has a large number of contributors and Ansible has a large number of commits. And on the enterprise cost for setting up Chef, it takes $7,200 per year, and for Puppet it's $12,000, and for Ansible it's $10,000, and Salt it's $15,000. And for a popularity perspective, Chef and Puppet are the old traditional tools, whereas Ansible and SaltStack are new tools. And success story, you can see like there are a lot of other companies that is using these particular configuration tools. And on the scorecard, if you see on the overall thing, Ansible stays number one because it's very easy to use and it is also much easy to set up and other things that we will further see on our advantages of Ansible side. So this is just the basic difference between your Chef, Puppet, Ansible, and SaltStack. Now, coming back, what is Ansible? Ansible is an open source IT configuration tool, and it is mainly used for deployment and orchestration. It is mainly used for an enterprise purposes for eliminating the automation challenges. If you're an operations guy and if you're doing a regular activity again and again, like for example creating a user, copying of files every day, you can even automate those things as part of this Ansible. And it is very simple and very powerful tool as well. And why do you need to use Ansible? Ansible uses the simple syntax called YAML. Okay, and it mainly uses the YAML syntax, and it is mainly used for your playbooks. And Ansible, another usage is agentless. As I was telling you about, you don't need to install separate agent and other things. It becomes very easy for you, and it is very efficient as well, and it is very powerful and flexible as well. It is very easy to set up, it is very easy to use, and the syntax are all very easy, and it doesn't require many what you call high-end configurations and other things. That is the main use of these Ansibles. And what Ansible can do? Ansible can do these things: provisioning of infrastructure, configuration management, like as I said, saving the code as a version control and everything. Application deployment, such as if you want to install any softwares or other thing, it can do it. Security and compliance, if you wanted to change any passwords or other things, or if you want to if you want to save any passwords as part of your vault, it can do it. Orchestration is mainly like it also takes care of your multiple agents and multiple nodes and other things, and it can help you to plan, code, continuous integration, build, test, monitor, deploy, and a lot of things. So Ansible mainly plays into your deployment area as part of your CI/CD pipeline. Okay, so in this lesson we will be seeing about inventories of Ansible. So what do you mean by inventory of Ansible? Inventory is a very big or very important concept in Ansible. Why? Because in the inventory only you will be giving your list of all the host machine IP address and the host machine names. With that only Ansible master will try to connect to that. That is why it is more important. And where it is actually stored, it is actually stored in etc Ansible host location, and you can create your own inventory file, and you can mention it as -i and then give the path of the inventory file. And this will be the sample example of how the inventory file looks like. So you can just give a group of that. For example, if you see on the left hand side, it is given as web servers, and then I can give an IP address of my web server missions, or I can give a DB servers as a group, and then I can connect all the DB server IP addresses to this particular mission or a host name of this particular mission, so that when I run Ansible, I can choose either all. If I choose all for all the respective servers, it will be done, or if it is actually running it on the web servers, it will be working fine. If it is running it on the DB servers, it will be working fine. So that is the concept of this inventory. Next, configuration. This is again another important thing on an Ansible. As number one, it is inventory, number two is a configuration, because this ansible.cfg file, which is a configuration file, is a main file which contains all the configuration details of Ansible, like whether it is allowed to do this, what is a port number, what is a list of users allowed, what is a color context, and everything will be given as part of this configuration file. And this configuration can also be found on this etc Ansible location. You can see this ansible.config file, and if you can set any environment variables, you can do that. If you want to set any current directory, you can do that. So all the things will be allowed and to set up on this configuration file. And while doing the settings or while doing an editing on this configuration file, we must be very careful, because if something goes wrong, the whole Ansible will not work, because this is a heart of the Ansible. So you have to always take a backup and then do any changes. So if there is any issues, you can even revert that backup. Now, coming to the main things, which is ad hoc commands in Ansible. So what do you mean by ad hoc commands in Ansible? Ad hoc commands in Ansible is nothing but you can run a single command. Instead of running it as a playbook is nothing but a collection of commands. So instead of running it as a playbook, you can run a single command for your immediate needs. And to run a single command, it actually falls under different modules. So what do you mean by modules? Modules are nothing but built-in custom commands regarding your particular areas, like cloud or database or shell or Perl or any other things. So modules can also control the resources like services. It can install the packages, it can uninstall the packages, it can create a user, it can change the password, it can make an API call. A lot of things are possible as part of Ansible, and there are actually 450 plus modules available as part of your Ansible. And this is a module index. You can actually go to Ansible documentation and you can search for modules, and depending upon your particular module, it has a lot of commands and it has a lot of modules according to your needs. Now let us see the basic modules one by one. The first module is a ping module. As the name indicates, it just tries to connect to the host and tells whether connection is success or not. So this is going to be your ping module. This is the basic setup module. As the name indicates, it just gathers the fact about the remote host. Like for example, if I'm connecting from server 1 to server 2, and if I don't know what is the configuration of server 2, I can just use the setup module, so that when I run the setup module, it automatically gives me all the details of the particular thing. So that is just the setup module. And this is a shell module. As the name indicates, if you want to run any shell commands inside a particular server, you can use the shell module to run the shell commands like cat or make directory or remove directory, anything you can run it, so that this particular module will help you to run the commands of shell on the target server. This is an M module. So if your target server is actually a Linux, or if your target server is actually any of your Linux favored machines, you can use this M module to install or uninstall a particular packages. This is an app module. So if your target server is belonging to Ubuntu, then you can use this app module to install or uninstall certain packages. This is an APK module. So if you wanted to install any APK related files, then you can use this APK modules. And this is a command module. So if your target server is actually a Windows server, you can use this command module. Like how you are using a shell module, you can use this command module to execute any commands. This is a cron module. As the name indicates, if you wanted to execute any schedulers on part of your target machines, you can use this cron module to execute or create a cron jobs. This is a file module. As the name indicates, you can set the attributes of the file, you can create a file, you can assign an owner of the file, you can even change the permissions of the file. So all the things related to the files and directories can be done with the help of this file modules on the target machines. This is a user module. So as the name indicates, if you want to create any users on a target machines, if you want to change the password of a user, if you want to delete any users, all those things can be used, or all those things can be done with the help of this user modules on part of the target machine. This is a copy module. So as the name indicates, if you want to copy any files, if you want to create any directories, or if you want to move any files, all those things can be done with the help of this copy modules. This is a fetch module. So if you want to fetch a file from remote server to your machine, or from one server to another server, you can use this fetch module. You have to just give a source and destination, so the file will be fetched from the source and then put it in the target destination. This is a service module. So as the name indicates, if you want to start any service, or if you want to stop any service, or if you want to restart any service, we can use this service modules. Generally, we use this service module to start the Tomcat server or stop the Tomcat server or any of the database services. We can use this module. This is a template module. Like for example, if I wanted to make a template of my own playbook, or if I wanted to make a template of my own system, I can use this template module. So it creates a complete template. As I was telling you about the configuration management file, and you can save it as a version control, I can create a template of my own infrastructure and I can save it on a configuration. So we can use this template module according to that. And this is called as your Jinja templates. And in Ansible, you would have heard about this term Jinja templates. It's very famous. So people will generally create a templates, and they will call these templates inside a playbook, so that they don't need to write the program again and again. And this Jinja templates will be ending with .j2 as an extension. This is a group module. So if you want to create any groups, or if you want to delete any groups, if you want to change the permissions of the groups, all those things can be done with the help of this group module. This is a git module, obviously. So if you want to clone a repo, if you want to actually push the changes, pull the changes, and update the changes, all those things can be done with the help of this git modules. This is an AWS module. So anything related to AWS, like creation of an infrastructure, creation of a bucket, or anything can be done with the help of this AWS modules. Similarly, you can use Azure modules to create and terminate a virtual machine. You can create a virtual machine, you can create a containers, and any other things can be done as part of this Azure modules. And an archive module. So this is just called as unzip. So usually in Windows we call it as unzip, and here we call it as unarchive. If I want to unarchive any tar files or zip files, I can use this unarchive module. This is an add module. So if I wanted to schedule any execution at the particular interval of time, I can use this add command, so that at this particular interval of time, run this command. So I can use similar to your cron job called as add module. And this is system control module. So if I wanted to start a service, stop any services, like in Ubuntu, we generally use the systemctl to start a service or stop a service or restart a service. So I can use this systemctl command. And this is a fail module. So for example, if I'm failing with something, then according to that, I can set up an alert, or I can just do it. So that is called as your fail modules. And before we go into play or playbooks, so these are all just the Ansible commands.
So if you're interested to learn more about Ansible, you can join our waitlist. You can visit k21academy.com/ansible-waitlist. You can also check the link in the description.